Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel. If you're new, I'm Kelly, this is K Bella Beauty, and I am here with a review. Not only is this a review, but you will get swatches and you will have a little tutorial, 3 looks in one video. We are going to be talking about the very shiny, very bronze Natasha Denona Bronze eyeshadow palette. This is, I want to say, her newest release. This is a new release. I picked mine up at Sephora. The thing that I liked about this Natasha Denona palette is a lot of her palettes are very expensive. Her larger palettes, they're like $125, and this beauty here was $65. So that was one of the things that intrigued me about it. Another is these are my tones. I love warm tones. I love a good bronze eyeshadow shade. So when I saw this palette, I thought, first of all, it's more affordable when you're talking about Natasha Denona, okay? Affordable. It's still very expensive. $65 for an eyeshadow palette. Very expensive. You do have 15 shades, but it's more affordable for Natasha Denona, and it is my color story. So I decided I wanted to pick this up. I had a little Sephora gift card, add to cart. My gift card actually happened to be $60, I think. I won it in a raffle, and I decided I would use my gift card to get this palette so that I could review it for you guys, and because let's be real, I wanted to have Natasha Denona in my collection. So if you are new to my channel or new to my 3-in-1 tutorial videos, I will have timestamps down below. I love when YouTubers leave timestamps, especially now that I'm a new mom and I don't always have a lot of time to sit down and watch a full YouTube video. I feel like I watch little bits of different videos all throughout the day because, you know, with a 14-month-old running around, I am very busy. So I always like when YouTubers leave timestamps because you might only be here for one thing. Maybe you want to see swatches, maybe you want to see some of my looks, maybe you want to hear my review. So all of that will be listed down below. But why don't we go ahead and jump into the video? Okay, we are going to start with some swatches. And before we get into the swatches, I do want to let you know I am in a wedding. And so I have a spray tan, but my spray tan is wearing off because we did like a little trial. So on my arm, you're gonna see in some of the swatches, there are little lines on my arm. And I do wanna say, that's not the swatch, that is my arm. My arm, for some reason, only my left arm, has these weird little lines in it, and like the self-tan was peeling off weird. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know, that is not a representation of the eyeshadow. That is a representation of my spray tan wearing off and my arm, my left arm, having weird lines on it. When you are looking at the swatches, I will have 2 different clips. In the first clip, you'll see the closest part to my hand and then working your way to the left, so opposite of reading. You have the shades True Copper, Suntan, Sundown, Deep Dive, and Rhodium. On my eyes, on my lid, I do have Rhodium and I do have Deep Dive. I also have Suntan mixed in with another shade on my lower lash line. In the second row, the middle row, you have Magma, High Degree, Alloy, Ridge, and True Bronze. Ridge is the shade that I have mixed with Suntan in my lower lash line. Then you go into the bottom row, again working from the closest part of my hand toward my shoulder. You have Gloaming, Palladium, Bliss, Silk, and Beach. And I do have a little bit of Bliss popped on the center of my eyelid, and you'll see that if you stay tuned. When I was swatching my eyeshadows, I did notice that True Copper, True Bronze, and I want to say there was one more, maybe Bliss, seemed to have a little bit more glitter particles in it. I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera. I hope it does. But I did notice when I was swatching those ones on my arm that I had a little bit more, not a sheen, but a little bit more of a glitter than when I swatched like Palladium, Gloaming, High Degree, Alloy, Silk. I feel like those ones, they weren't as chunky and it was more of a sheen. So I did want to point that out. Rhodium as well, I feel like maybe had a little bit more of like a chunky glitter in it. So I did want to let you know when I was swatching that I did notice that. But all of these shades swatched beautifully. I only had to run my fingers in the shade a few times and then rub it on my skin, and they all swatched nicely with the exception of my arm being wrinkly and weird. And when they were swatched on my arm, I feel like all of the eyeshadow shades did look a little bit different, and we'll talk more about this in the review, but I did want to say when I swatched them, you could see that they were all different. We're going to go ahead into the tutorial next, and we're going to end with my review.
What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Ooh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa, and if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a, yeah. Yeah, I've discussed it with myself, and I'm disgusted with the way we're told to have a certain face, a certain weight, because we aren't pixels on a screen. No, we're human, we breathe. Every single thing we see curated, it's overrated. These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, and if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to think, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Honey, I'm a, yeah.
I am who I'm meant to be. I am who I'm meant to be. Over and out again. My future needed clarity, so I could see how you react, how you'd react to me. So much differently. I am different. Every time that I look back, I see my fortune. Would you react to me?
Hey guys, before we get into this third look, I did just want to jump on here to tell you I will only be creating the third look on this eye over here on my right eye. You might be able to see on my left eye over here, I'm having some eczema on my eyelid, and I don't want to irritate it anymore because this weekend I'm in a wedding, need to have my face done for that. But I did want to get this video up for you on Wednesday, hopefully the day that it's posted as scheduled. So I did want to throw together a look that I've done before, but I'm only doing it on one eye. So let's go ahead and get started.
doubted all that I could do, knowing what I need to do. All I can say, the word is thank you. I think it's what you need to push away from the shore, amongst the waves, exactly where I wanna be. I am where I wanna be. Remember the start, when my future needed clarity. Yes, I needed clarity, so I could see how you'd react, to me. So much differently, 'cause I am different to you. Every time that I look back, I see my fortune. But you react to me. We are reacting so much differently.
The seasons come and go like thoughts of you. Like a wave returns to the sea, into the blue. They change but in a cycle that I can't lose. Each painful but delightful to live through. You came into my life just like another season. Not for long, just a time, just like another season. Maybe this time next year you'll reappear for no reason. But I'll cherish every day until you come my way this season. Season.
Okay, if you're here for the review, this is the moment you've been waiting for. So first of all, I know that there are a lot of people who were interested in this palette specifically for the fact that it was Natasha Denona and it was $65 instead of the $125. I do still feel like that is extremely expensive for an eyeshadow palette, but you do get 15 shades. If you're interested in Natasha Denona, that might have caught your eye just because it was a little bit more affordable. I have been using this eyeshadow palette for 3 weeks now, I think. I have used every single shade. That's part of why my video is coming up a little bit later than some other YouTubers, is I felt like I really wanted to have a chance to use every single eyeshadow before I started talking about them. Now, I don't use every single eyeshadow in my 3 tutorials, but I have used every single eyeshadow shade on my lid. Let's talk about the eyeshadows for a minute. So, the mattes blended like a dream. They went on very nice, very smooth, and I did not have any fallouts with the mattes. They were super pigmented, they blended nicely. They do kick up a little bit of dust in the pan, but that doesn't bother me. The shimmer shades, I always use MAC Fix Plus when I'm applying shimmer shades, so I guess I haven't really worn it on my eyes without it. I would put it on my eye without it, and they're still pigmented, but there's something about using either your finger or a little bit of water or a setting spray. You just get, I feel like, the best pigmentation. And so I feel like that's true with these eyeshadow shades as well. When I did use a little bit of Fix Plus or when I did use my finger, they were a little bit more pigmented. Like I mentioned during the swatches, some of the eyeshadows had a little bit more of like a glitter I don't want to say chunky because it wasn't chunky, but a little bit more glitter in it. I believe that was True Copper, True Bronze, and Bliss, if I'm remembering correctly. And then some other shades like Palladium. Palladium is my favorite shade. It is beautiful. It's more of like a taupey shade, I feel like. Gloaming, I think, did not have chunky glitter. High Degree, Silk. Those were a little bit more, they were still shimmers, but they had a little bit more of a sheen and not the chunky glitter. So if you're someone like me, I prefer not the chunky glitter. I like a little bit more of a sheen. I did get fallout with these eyeshadows. I did notice, even today, I did my face first today and went in with my eyeshadow and then instantly regretted it because I did have a little bit of fallout on my face that I had to then try and fix. So I would recommend using these eyeshadows first before putting your face on if you want to kind of help with the fallout situation, because then if you have fallout on your face before your foundation, you can use a makeup wipe and wipe it off and it doesn't matter, or you can even go over it with concealer. Now, when I was swatching these eyeshadow shades, I mentioned that each of the shades looked very different on my arm. However, when I applied these eyeshadows on my eyes, with the exception of this look, because I used rhodium, I used the more purple tones, all of the other eyeshadows, I feel like my look kind of looked the same. It didn't matter if I used True Copper or True Bronze, Silk. It didn't really matter what eyeshadow shade I was using on the lid. Even when I used High Degree, I felt like my eyeshadow pretty much looked the same every single time. And if I can find a few pictures that I posted to Instagram using this eyeshadow palette, I will insert them, because I did a different look every time that I took pictures, and every time I felt like the eyeshadow looked the same. Now, if you are someone who is looking for a palette that gives you bronze looks, and like that is what you want every time you do your eyeshadow, you want your looks to be bronze, then you may really enjoy this palette. I feel like the quality was good, the pigmentation was good, with the exception of a little bit of fallout, which didn't bother me. You know, I could just do my eyeshadow first. If you like a bronze look, then this could be a great palette for you. I do like the eyeshadows. However, if you are someone who wants your eyeshadow to have more of a variety, you don't necessarily want your makeup to look the same every day, then I would maybe really consider if you want to get this palette or not. Now, it looked beautiful. It looked nice, went on the eyes nice. I liked the looks that I created. They just looked the same. Now, if you're gonna spend $60 to $65 on an eyeshadow palette, you want it to be something that you can get use out of. So if you are totally into bronze, go ahead and go for it. Like, you'll get beautiful looks. I really liked the eyeshadows. I like Palladium. I said Palladium was my favorite shade. It was more of like a taupey shade. Now, there were a few things that disappointed me about this eyeshadow palette. First of all, I am fair skinned. So to put it into context, in the Urban Decay Naked Skin Foundation, I'm a 3.0. What else? NARS, I'm Fiji. I'm wearing the Too Faced Born This Way, but this is my self tan shade in Warm Nude. I think I would be more of like vanilla. So I'm not the lightest shade in foundations, but I am fairly light. And I feel like I don't have a shade in here that I could use on my inner corner. So when I've been using this eyeshadow palette, I haven't been popping any of these on my inner corner just because they look too dark. Even Silk, I feel like Silk is the lightest shade, but it's still too dark for me to pop on my inner corner or to put in my brow bone. The other thing that bothers me about this palette is that I don't have like a cream base that I could use to set my eyeshadow primer. I typically like to go in first with a shadow to put over my primer, because primer can be sticky and tacky, which is good because it's going to make your eyeshadow stick, but then I want to put a base shadow down first to help everything blend smoothly, and I don't have a base shade in here. The lightest shade is Beach, and that's still pretty tan on me, so I do need to go in with another eyeshadow from another palette to set my base, and if I want to put anything on the inner corner or a highlight. So if I'm thinking about not being a YouTuber, I'm just someone who wants to spend $65 on an eyeshadow palette, you're gonna want it to kind of do everything for you. I would not want to have to dip into other eyeshadows if I spent my money on this palette and I wasn't a YouTuber. Like, I want to be able to grab this palette and do everything that I want to do with my look, and I can't do that. Now, with that being said, do I like this eyeshadow palette? Absolutely. Do I regret getting it? No, I do not. I like the quality. I like the eyeshadow shades that I create. But I am also a YouTuber, and I did have a $60 gift card that I could put toward getting this palette. If I was someone who wasn't on YouTube or didn't collect makeup, I think I would still collect makeup if I wasn't on YouTube, I would maybe really think about this, because $60 to $65 for an eyeshadow palette is expensive, and if you're still having to go into other eyeshadows to create your look, then is it really worth it for you? It might be. Maybe you really want to try Natasha Denona and you really love a good bronze eyeshadow. Then go for this palette. It's beautiful. I like it. I like the quality. But if you are someone who doesn't have a huge collection, or you're looking for an eyeshadow palette that can be all-encompassing and you have a lighter skin tone like me, then I don't know that I would recommend this to you. Just because your looks are going to be the same, you don't have something for the inner corner if you're light like me, and you don't have a base shade for setting it down. I feel like if you're going to spend $60 to $65, even if you're going to spend $40 or $50 on an eyeshadow palette, I feel like it should be able to do everything for you, and this palette just doesn't for me. I like that you get a nice big mirror in the bottom. I feel like it's very sturdy. I like that you can pop the eyeshadows out and rearrange them. I think it's very creative, and I do really enjoy the tones. However, I don't know that I would say that this is a must-have. Like, yeah, I'm glad I have it, but I even told my friend Smags, she was talking to me about some eyeshadow palettes that she wanted, and she was torn between Natasha Denona or Pat McGrath, and I told her, I was like, honestly, I don't know that I would tell you to get the bronze eyeshadow palette because she has a ton of bronze already. So I was like, you might want to lean more toward the Pat McGrath if you want to spend your money to get an eyeshadow palette. Get something that you don't have a ton of already. So all of that talking to say, I do really like this eyeshadow palette. I think the quality is great. It is very expensive, but you do get 15 shades. Everything is very pigmented, goes on nicely, but at the same time, I can't create a full look with this, not the way that I like to create a full look. I mean, I did create a full eye look today. I don't have any other shades on, but I couldn't set my eyeshadow base, and I don't have anything in the inner corner, so I can't create a full look the way I like to create a full look, but I do get some very nice, beautiful eye looks when I get this palette, and I'm happy that I have it, and I'm not going to return it. And that is going to do it for this video. It has been a while since I have done a 3-in-1 tutorial, and let me tell you, they take some time. In the past, before I had my daughter, I could definitely knock one of these videos out in a couple days. I would say 3 days, because I typically do 3 looks, 1 each day. With my dry skin, I would literally rip the skin off of my face if I tried to like use a makeup wipe to take it off. So these videos would take 3 days to film, and then I could like edit it in a day. But yeah, with the little one running around, it has definitely taken me some time to film this video. So if you did enjoy it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That helps my videos get noticed. If you like what you see on my channel, I hope that you will subscribe and stay a while. If you have any suggestions for maybe eyeshadow palettes you want me to review, any other makeup you want me to review, let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.